First ever. Really? Okay, wait. Try ko nga mamaya. I'll search for some videos. Send me some man.
Yeah, there's no nice
Okay. Thanks.
So our first topic is mathematics in language. First, we will talk about propositions. A proposition is basically a declarative sentence that is either true or false. An example is 2 plus 2 equals 4. That is mathematically true, so that makes it a proposition. And another example is the earth is flat. That is scientifically false, and that also makes it a proposition. Not propositions, on the other hand, are questions, exclamations, commands, and contradictions. The question, is mathematics fun? That is not a proposition. So we will talk about logical operators. There are 5 in total. The first one is negation. An example is, it is not raining. Second is conjunction. An example is, it is raining and cold. The third one is disjunction. It is raining or cold. Another one is implication. If it is raining, then the ground is wet. And finally, we have biconditional. It rains if and only if the sky is cloudy. And these logical operators can be shown in a truth table shown in the presentation. Next, we'll talk about conditional propositions. Conditional, shown by the symbol on the screen. An example is, if you read all Harry Potter books, then you like fantasy. As for converse, if you like fantasy, then you read all Harry Potter books. For inverse, if you haven't read all, then you don't like fantasy. And for contrapositive, if you don't like fantasy, then you haven't read them. Next, we'll talk about kinds of propositions. There are 3 in total. The first one is tautology, where the statement is always true. The second is contradiction, where the statement is always false. And finally, we have contingency, and the statement can be true or false depending on the values given. Next, we'll talk about propositional functions. There are 4 in total. First one are quantifiers. A quantifier, it can be universal. An example is all students study, so it talks about everything and everyone. The second quantifier is existential. Some students study. Only a number or an amount from a whole. Negating quantifiers, on the other hand, can be negation of universal, shown by the symbol on screen, and it can be a negation of existential, shown by the symbol.
Think of math as the invisible hand that guides every money decision in your life. When you put in cash in a savings account, math quietly works behind the scenes to grow your money through interest. When you take out a loan for a car or a house, math determines exactly how much you'll pay each month. Even when you're just comparing prices at a grocery store, you're using the same basic math skills that bankers use every day. Without these mathematical tools, managing money would be like driving blindfolded. You might eventually get to where you're going, but you hit a lot of roadblocks and bumps along the way. In the professional finance world, math becomes even more powerful. Stock analysts use it to predict which companies are good investments. Banks use complex formulas to decide who gets loans and at what interest rate. Insurance companies rely on math to calculate how likely you are to have an accident or a health problem, which determines your premiums. Some of these formulas look complicated, but really, they're just different ways of answering simple questions like, how much is this worth? Or what could go wrong? The same kind of math that helps a billionaire investor also helps you plan for a retirement or save up for college. What's beautiful about financial math is that it creates fairness in an uncertain world. It prevents banks from charging random interest rates or insurers from setting arbitrary prices. Math gives us clear rules for everything, from credit scores to mortgage approvals. While money can sometimes feel stressful or confusing, math is the steady foundation that keeps everything in balance. Whether you feel like you're checking your account balance, or a country is managing its entire economy, you can always thank math for making sure all the numbers add up properly. After all, in finance, as in life, it's always better to count on something solid. Without mathematics, there's nothing you can do. Everything around you is mathematics. Everything around you are numbers, said by Shakuntala Devi. So to further prove my point, here are some examples of formulas and mathematical operations used for finance. First example is the compound interest, where interest is calculated on the initial principal and the accumulated interest of previous periods. Now for regular payments, which is growth from recurring.
Moving on, we're now diving into two really interesting essential topics in mathematics and decision sciences. These are social choice theory and game theory. We'll explore how math is used to make fair group decisions and how it can predict the behavior of individuals or organizations in competitive situations. So without a further ado, let's get onto the lecture. First up, we have social choice theory. This is a branch of decision theory where individual preferences are used to come up with a collective or social decision. In simpler terms, it's all about how groups make choices, whether it's voting for a president, choosing a class leader, or even deciding what to eat as a group. It was introduced by Kenneth Arrow, an economist who explores how society can make decisions that reflect everyone's preferences. His famous work, Social Choice and Individual Values, was published way back in 1951. Now let's look at some voting methods used in social choice. Let's break down the voting methods, each with its own logic and purpose. First is majority criteria. Simple and familiar. The candidate must get more than 50% of the votes to win. If no one reaches that, we'll look at alternatives. Second is popularity method, the most basic and commonly used method. The candidate who is ranked most preferred the most times wins, regardless of whether they get a majority. Third is popularity runoff. If no one gets a majority, the top two candidates face off in second round. Whoever wins the one-on-one takes it all. Fourth is Condorcet method. This one's interesting. Each candidate competes head-to-head with every other candidate. If someone beats all the others, they're the winner. And fifth, board account method. Points are assigned based on rank. Higher ranks get more points. The one with the highest total wins, like scoring the talent show. Next is hair system or instant runoff. This method eliminates the candidate with the fewest first choice votes one round at a time until someone gets a majority. Next is reverse hair system, opposite of hair. Here we eliminate the candidate with the most last place rankings in each round. Next is sequential pairwise. Candidates are compared in pairs in the predefined sequence. The winner of one match goes on to face the next and so on. And lastly, approval voting. Voters can vote as many candidates as they approve of. The one with the most approvals wins. It's like giving multiple thumbs ups. Next, we move on to something that sounds a bit more competitive. Game theory. Game theory is the study of strategic interactions. That means each player's success depends not just on their own decisions, but also on the decision of others. Every game has three core components: players, the decision makers; strategies or actions, the choices they can make; and payoffs, the outcomes or rewards they receive based on choices made. Let's classify games based on two factors: information and timing. Perfect information, all players know all previous actions. Think of games like chess where you can see the entire board. Sequential games, players take turns. One player makes a move, then the next responds. Discrete games, these have a limited number of players, actions, and outcomes. Most board games are like this. Imperfect information, some actions or decisions are hidden. Think of poker. You don't know what cards others have. Simultaneous games, everyone makes decisions at the same time without knowing what others will choose. A classic example is rock, paper, scissors. Continuous games, players can choose from a range of options, not just a few set. An example could be bidding in an auction. Finally, let's talk about how we represent games mathematically. First is normal form. This uses a matrix structure where players are in the rows and columns and the cell values show the payoffs. This form works best for simultaneous games where both players move at the same time. Next is extensive form. This is a tree diagram. It shows all positive moves and orders of moves, decisions at every point, and what each player knows. This is used in sequential games where timing and decision order matter a lot. And that wraps up our deep dive into how math powers decision-making, logic, and even your bank account. From voting methods to game strategies, from logical truth to financial growth, math is everywhere. So if you found this helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. See you in the next episode of The Wonders of Math in the Modern World.
Videos online. Umayos naman na yung grade mo this time, right?
Yeah, joke lang. I did good naman thanks to the video. It was very helpful and in-depth.
At least, nakatulong siya sa'yo. Because, ang dali rin talaga na mapag-aralan yung mga lessons online if you watch them through videos. What if we go out and celebrate that since you aced your exam na?
Sige, libre ko.
Yay!
Learning math is a quiet virtue, one that asks for patience, resilience, and faith. It doesn't promise instant rewards, but it shapes your character in silence. And if you hold on, even when the journey feels long or uncertain, you'll find that you've grown into a better shaped person, and you'll get exactly where you belong.